And now, Adventures in Critiquing with
Empty Brooke. We're changing shit up.
And guest narrator, Vab Zakin.
First of all, the colors on this piece are very bright and eye-catching. I don't know anything about the characters present, so I'll only be looking at elements of the piece itself, lighting, anatomy, coloring, lines, etc. Writing these long critiques didn't seem like an issue when I didn't think I'd be reading them. That said, here's what I can offer up. Firstly, I understand that this is a very cartoony style, but I feel as though there are lots of things you can do to really make characters and different elements of this style pop. For instance, adding some hair bumps where the ears connect into the hair would help to show that the ears are actually attached to the characters, rather than simply sitting on top of their heads. There are also some interesting things that you can do with designing characters with relation to your coloring that could make them stand out more, such as forgoing interior hairlines, like the ones on top of the left character's head, and exclusively using the line effect you're using to color the hair. On a related note, there are lots of inconsistencies in the way you use textures on the hair. I can see that you bend and alter the direction of the hair on the orange half of the left character's hair, and this is something that you should probably be doing to color the hair all across the board. On the blue section of the left character's hair, despite the line art indicating a curve at the bottom of her hair, the textures coloring her hair continue downwards, creating a disparity between the colors in the line art. Similarly, the textures on the right character's hair start at the very top of their head and move downwards with little to no variation. Hair doesn't naturally do this. Hair tends to spread outwards from the middle and top of the head, and this is how your texture line should be spreading as well. There should be an origin point for the hair, defined by you, from which the hair can flow and fall over the rest of the character's head and shoulders. This definitely takes away from the piece and is even made more jarring when these textures simply stop at the character's eyes. I understand that showing the eyes visible under the hair is, again, part of a style, but if you're going to use these sort of texture techniques for the hair, then you might want to try leaving the line art but coloring any section of the eyes hidden under the hair the same color as the hair. The viewer would still be able to see the eye with the line art, but the color would be more consistent and the textures wouldn't be as drastically interrupted. With regards to the lines, having the lines get thinner as they taper off was a nice idea and definitely works well for the hair and character clothing. But I feel that there's a lot more you can do with different types of line thickness. You've demonstrated that you can have thinner lines, as the right character's mouth is so thin, but having his mouth as thin as it is somewhat takes away from his expression. You might benefit from experimenting with line thickness and determining what lines should be thicker or thinner depending on how heavy or solid certain objects might be. As an example, some people use thick lines on clothes and body, but thin lines on wrinkles and fabrics or on hair. In terms of composition, I feel as though the speech bubbles would have better served the piece if they has been lower to the bottom of the image and a little more centered on their respective characters. Typically, using speech bubbles invokes a comic book feel, and working from the same or a similar format will help in making the piece more visually cohesive. Additionally, the top of the right character's hair and ear are cut off at the top of the image. This is generally stuff that you want to avoid, kind of like cutting off the bottom of an image at a character's ankles. Finally, there doesn't appear to be any sort of consistent light source across the entire piece. The vibrant glow on the left character's hair indicates a very strong light source coming from the left side of the image, but no other section of the piece demonstrates any sort of similar intensity. In fact, the shadows on the left character's nose and lower arm and the lack of shadows on their ears directly conflict with the light source coming from that direction. All in all, a lot more attention spent to the distribution of the textures you use, as well as a more clearly defined light source, will definitely help your future pieces. You can also play around with line thickness and qualities to get some more interesting variations and effects. This can help you convey a lot more dramatic emotions and expressions. That's all the critique I can offer at the moment. Hope it was helpful. Fuck, that was a lot!
The artist thought this was fair.
Can you please let her draw what she wants to draw?
She asked for a critique, and I gave a critique, making note of what I thought would make her piece better. I can't control what a person will or will not draw, but if they specifically ask for criticism on their work, I'm going to give it.
Dude, you don't decide what she draws. It's her hand, her art style. She decides what she does with it, not you.
Are you for real? What part of critiquable don't you understand? Small Space, the artist, specifically marked their work as willing to accept critiques. Logic would dictate that they wanted feedback on what they did right and what they can improve on. You'll notice that I'm not coming to your DeviantArt gallery and leaving critiques on your work because you haven't asked for critique. Small Space did. You'll also notice that they accepted the critique. People who mark their work as critiquable have the option to reject the critique for one reason or another, but Small Space didn't reject it. Whether or not they accept the critique I left is up to them, but the fact that they asked for critiques to be offered on the piece obviously means that someone's going to leave one.
That doesn't mean she agreed on you. You didn't even compliment her artwork.
What on earth are you talking about? I said the colors were nice and vibrant. I said that I liked the way she had the lines get thinner as they tapered off and that it was a nice idea. I noted that it was good that she bent and manipulated the textures on one side of a character's head. Furthermore, I don't seek to compliment artwork when I critique. I seek to note what was done well and what can be improved on. If I wanted to compliment the artwork, I'd leave a comment.
Well, did she respond it?
She accepted the critique rather than rejecting it. Normally that indicates that they thought something in the critique was worth noting.
Did you really thought that she would be happy when she accepted your critique? No, she hates it when critiques just nitpick little things and give your art 2 stars.
Then she can tell me herself and reject my critique. How am I supposed to know that she dislikes a critique I've left if all she does is accept it and never make note of it? Furthermore, I've given people harsh critiques before and they've thanked me for it. One person sent me other pieces of their work to critique. Others started watching me right after I left a critique. I don't know anything about your friend or what they like or dislike. I only found their work because I was browsing the critiquable section. So how am I supposed to know her opinion on critiques?
Don't you have anything better to do than browsing critiques?
Don't you have anything better to do than berate me for critiques? Truthfully, I like to critique works because I like when artists want legitimate input on what they can improve on in their work. It shows a willingness to progress, and I happen to think that's a good thing.
I've got plenty of time doing some stupid stuff. And oh, so you give advice too if someone put critique on memes?
There's honestly not much one can critique on a meme, provided I'm thinking of the same sort of meme you're thinking of. I've had instances where people post memes, doll maker stuff, or screenshots, and I've asked them what on earth they expect people to be able to critique on something they themselves didn't do. I mean, it's not like they can improve on it if they didn't actually do it. But a painting, a digital or traditional drawing, an animation, or photography, I can critique the lighting, the techniques, the textures, the anatomy, the perspective, the color design, etc., and all can be used to improve future pieces.
That doesn't mean they're going to improve on it. It just means they want to see what their opinions are about the meme, not the artwork. Well, I don't want advice to improve.
No, if they ask for a critique, they're asking for a critique. And I link them to what a critique is on DeviantArt. People voice their opinions on the memes people post in the comments anyways. Okay, don't know why you're telling me this. I can tell that you clearly don't want any form of critique simply from this conversation, nor have I any intention of critiquing the work of someone who doesn't explicitly ask for it.
Sometimes you should go against the rules, because you should shut up for once in a while giving advice.
You do realize that's an oxymoron, right? You're effectively asking me to do the exact opposite of what the artist apparently wanted. Small Space requested critique. I gave critique. Does that mean that since you said you didn't want critique, then I should critique your work?
She requested critique for compliments, not advice. Listen here, I hate people who tries to enhome me by improving with advice. I only draw what I want to draw, and so does she. If you want her to draw something that you want, just send her a request or commission.
I was asking a rhetorical question. Like I said, I have no intention of critiquing your work. Hell, just the fact that you have comments disabled on so many pieces is evident that I'd effectively be talking to a wall. Also, that's stupid. Why would someone request critiques on a piece with the intent of receiving compliments when that's literally not the definition of a critique? There are groups on DeviantArt a person can join specifically for that purpose.
I've disabled comments because none was about to comment anyway, not for being a posy? A posy. Everyone here is different from each other, so don't expect them to be the same.
What's a poesy? Is that supposed to be pussy? Also, sure, everyone's different, but then how am I meant to discern who will and will not like critiques on their work? That's kinda why I tend to only leave critiques, for the most part, on pieces that request critique. Because I would imagine that the people who specifically ask for it want it. That same thing could easily be directed at you since you seem to have been under the impression that I was demanding that Small Space change her artwork specifically, or from insinuating that critiques were a waste of time, despite my only having intended to offer tips that she could choose whether or not to test out, and critiques being a hobby of mine.
And what if they don't want the advice that they wanted? That's what I've thought.
Do you need an aspirin?
No, you need a Snicker.
Snickers full of aspirin. We can both nom nom nom.
Blank expression.
Slowly eats cookie.
Slowly stuff Snickers down your shirt.
What are you doing? Cut the audio really bad. WTF are you doing? Slaps him really hard in the face.
Backflips on top of your head while laughing at the idea of having a peen, screaming critiques of your slap. See, this is why I make note. Everybody seems to think I'm a dude through text. Everybody thinks I'm a dude. I should probably note at this point that I cannot actually believe you're that stupid that you honestly asked me, and what if they don't want the advice that they wanted? So I've basically just been taking the piss. Thanks for the laugh, though.
No problem. I'm always stupid, so you don't have to say it. Hi Ponder, thanks for letting me do this for you. It was really fun being on your channel, and I would definitely do something like this again if the opportunity arose. So I guess all I have to say now is thanks, love you, bye!
Oh my god! You are a precious baby. Guys, Vabzekin is a precious baby who also does commentaries and must be loved. Love them. Speaking of people to send some love to, people drew me fan art and they're all precious. First up, we have the adorable little G Ponder by an artist who could drop an anchor in your heart. Anchoremi. Sliding into your DMs, we have Elo Queen by the Your Shirt May Call for Daddy, but you done attracted the Ponder Baby Broken Deer. Squeezing into frame, we have Boob Ponder by the Snuggly at Stupid Cupid TWTS. And finally, we have oh my god! It's What Did I Do? By the totally going to get this video restricted for being naughty, Hey It Smile. If you like any of the artwork here, you can give the artist some love with the links in the description, or you can check out my own art, comics, dumb buttness to pass, Patreon, blah blah blah. Octomama out!